I was hired to murder myself. I've always enjoyed killing, and I blame it on my farm childhood. Calling it a farm is a big stretch. I grew up in a shack on a rural area, having only my father and sister around. He never mistreated us, but he was stiff and relentless on his beliefs. For him, there was no such thing as male or female. Everyone under his roof was, by default, a hunter. Back when we were really young, he would leave us home alone for hours and hours. He first took me hunting when I was 3. I never thought rabbits and squirrels were cute. They were always prey. I first hunted a deer when I was 10. I was limber and had developed a strong body. Dana, my sister, was never a huntress. She was great at hiding. So she hid. At first, Dad was angry, but I hunted so well that I did more than enough for both of us. Besides, Dana was good enough to manage herself, catching smaller animals. She was outstanding at fishing with her own hands due to her quietness. But she never enjoyed any of it. Dad died when I was 13. He was caught by a bear and kept screaming,
"Shoot it! Shoot it, you fucking bitch!"
I only had 2 bullets left, and I was too worried, so the first missed and the second wasn't enough to take down the bear. Dana grabbed my hand and we ran like the wind. I'm honestly not sad for my father's last words to me. He was desperate and being eaten alive after all. I forgave him in a heartbeat. Who I never was able to forgive was myself, for failing Dad. We were taken to a foster family after that. Dana soon adapted to having a normal life, and she clearly was held dear by the couple. I'm grateful to them for having a comfy bed and finally learning how to write and read, but I kept to myself at home. I missed killing things. I went hunting alone every day. The first time, my family was impressed by my ability. The second time, my foster mother muffled cried "The poor ducky." The third, my foster father begged me to give what I hunted to someone else. I started selling it. I made some nice cash and gave everything to my sister's college fund. She was smart and needed the money after all. I just needed to smell the delicious bitterness of fresh blood. By the time I was 18, I married the sweetest man. And it was crazy how we balanced each other's personalities. Him being always so calm and gleeful. Tom was 15 years older than me and a merchant, selling a myriad of things in our small town. He sometimes sold parts of my hunting, the meat, the fur, the heads as prizes. We were happy. We lived 5 great years until he was shot in a robbery. From that moment on, a burning rage lived inside of me. The eagerness to kill took over me. I don't know how to manage a shop, so I asked my husband's brother Stu to take his place in management. But Stu was a drunken and a buffoon. And soon, the shop bankrupted. I was left with nothing. When I learnt about certain shady parts of the internet, I finally realized I could sell my services and satiate my ever-growing bloodlust. I'm famous now. I mean, my work name is. Nobody knows my face. Nobody knows I'm even a woman. My body is small and strong, perfect for sneaking in. I look trustworthy enough for my prey to take me to dinner. Sometimes it's too easy. I have built a name between politicians, and rich cheated wives love me. Of course, my clients are not always from the highest social standings, and they try to bargain a lot. It's not unusual that some broken-ass guy asks me to murder his rich father or uncle, and get paid after I do the job, when he gets his inheritance. I just laugh at their faces and tell them to fuck off, before I murder them instead. Until the day my instincts, told me to keep talking to the guy after he told me his conditions of payment. "I'll inherit some money," he wrote. "But the thing is, I used to have a brother. He's dead now, no kids. But I talked to my attorney and he told me that his widow will get half of my money, so I want to eliminate her. Sure, just send me her info, I replied for the first time. Because I knew this story. I didn't want to be paranoid and think that it was me. I just felt sorry for the poor woman and maybe would fuck up with the guy. But it was me, my brother-in-law, who was constantly helped by me and my husband after losing everything in gambling over and over again, who ruined our store, and I never said a thing, now wanted to kill me. No, worse than that. He wanted to hire someone else to kill me, because his coward ass couldn't even do it. I took the job. The next day I went to my sister Dana and asked her something no twin sister should ask the other. Can you die in my place? When I take a job, I will finish it, no matter what it takes. So I sent my client a picture of my dead victim, my sister. I was famous for this modus operandi. As I said, Dana ain't a huntress, she's a great hider. So after I forged her death and gave Stu a false sense of safeness, he found my sister characterized as me at his dirty apartment. Dora? What are you doing here? He was stuttering and sweating. Just came by to talk a little about the inheritance we're about to get, my sister calmly said, perfectly mimicking my voice and intonation. Stu never knew I had a sister because she lived far away during her graduation. Both me and my husband always kept to ourselves and never had a wedding party, so our families didn't know each other very well. Inheritance? I don't know what you're talking about. He made a poor attempt at lying. Why don't you ask the hitman you hired, Stu? She asked, as I came from behind him, wearing the exact same clothes as her. I gotta admit, it was so much fun to stage this. When he turned to look at me, Stu was pale, and I'm pretty sure he pissed himself. What's going on? What kind of joke is this? And that's all he could say before I gagged him. It's your fault that my husband was shot, isn't it? I stabbed him once. I knew very well how to lethally stab someone only once, making a cleaner death, but it wouldn't happen this time. You fucking deadbeat. Your damn loan sharks broke into the store and killed him. You let the store go bankrupt because you were fucking terrified of staying there. He shook his head desperately, trying to deny it, but his eyes told the truth. I never fully realized it until that instant. It was a moment of clarity, and I hated his guts even more. Both me and my sister did what we were best at. She hid, not wanting to see the bloodbath that I was about to cause, and I stabbed and stabbed and stabbed. When the body was found, the police immediately arrested Stu's loan shark. They were investigating him for a long time and just needed one more move to make theirs. They confirmed my suspicions about the loan shark killing my husband. I noticed that with the closure, my bloodlust diminished. I still go hunting most weekends, but I'm done with killing people. Nothing can bring Tom back, but I can move forward, learn new things, work with something else. I still have a lot to live. So let me give you an advice. If you're thinking about hiring a hitman, don't. The best one went out of business. I told you guys about the day that someone hired me to murder myself, but I also had quite a few weird, inexplicable experiences in the years I worked killing for money. I'll be telling some of the most memorable stories here. The oldest of them was when a guy hired me to murder a hitchhiker. My client believed that the target had murdered his wife a few years earlier. The man I had to take down was completely average, white, not very tall, brown hair and eyes, and had a dark green backpack on his shoulders. I followed him into the woods, keeping very quiet. Now, if you already know me, you know that I love being in the woods. That's where I felt at home the most. I love hunting, and I'm great at it. But not in that place. It was like every tree had an evil aura, and they were terribly dense, especially in the top. Even during midday, almost no light filtered through the high trees. Everything was molded and pulsing with life, but in a terrifying way. Because, at the same time, there was no life, no chirping from birds, no distant creaking noises from small creatures walking, nothing. And it was like the entire forest was one demonic entity, ready to swallow me whole. I don't know how to describe it better than that. It was just creepy and immensely uncomfortable. I took cautious steps, more cautious than my usual, but every slight noise I made seemed to reverberate through the whole forest, making my ears ring. Just being inside that forest was deafening, like there was constant humming the human ear could barely capture. After 3 hours of walking, the hitchhiker turned to my general direction and said, "I know you've been following me all the way." I noticed that he was close enough to a cliff, so I just said, "Good," and shoved him down. For a moment I thought it would be that easy. He fell for a good 15 meters before simply disappearing in thin air. I had perfect vision of the bottom. It was almost an open field, but I couldn't find him anywhere. I had to take a picture of him dead to prove the job was done, so I sighed and prepared to climb down. After I went around 10 meters down, my rope severed out of nowhere. I started falling but was able to grapple a few branches and hold myself, finishing the climb with only the strength of my body. That's when I saw him standing at the bottom, unscathed, like nothing had happened. His eyes were black where they should be white, and bright red in the irises. He had a sinister grin on his face. I used all my might to propel my body in his direction and withdrew my dagger mid-air. This dagger was my favorite because it was pure silver, and I had an instinct to bring it along. I'm sure that I wouldn't be here now if I didn't do that. I used the weight of my body and the surprise factor to knock the hitchhiker to the ground and planted my dagger in his chest. After that, I pierced both his disturbing eyes, took a picture and burned his body. I left the woods running as fast as I could. After his death, the trees around me still had a threatening aura, but somehow weren't as dark and evil. Ever since this episode, I entered countless forests, and none of them was nearly half as terrifying as that one. I'm a killer, and I consider myself a hardcore agnostic. But that night, I prayed to God to keep the aberrations such as the hitchhiker away from me. The next day, I bought a few silver bullets, and I have them with me every day. Hotel Rushmore. Don't mistakenly take my actions for noble. I'm a murderess. I've killed good, bad, and average people. But in this particular case, I know I removed someone evil and dangerous from the world. I was hired by a rival politician. Gregor McCreary was a treacherous man who'd been elected only for his last name. Politics was hereditary for the McCreary, and they were all involved in corruption. Gregor, in particular, was also a known pedophile, but no one dared to do anything about it because of his power. I checked in at the fancy hotel Rushmore during the afternoon. Gregor would be in a conference all day long the next day, so my best chance was to kill him during the night. My clients knew that the target was quite fond of cocaine, so my job was pretty much to make him overdose. The hotel would want to cover the scandal up as much as possible, so I was as safe as a hitman can be. This was supposed to be an easy job. The hotel was beautiful. The entrance hall was ostentatious. The ceiling was amazingly high with a ridiculously beautiful chandelier. The walls were in warm, charming tones, and the lighting was perfect to really bring it all together. My room was immense, the bed bigger than king size, perfectly comfy. The bathroom was in all black marble with a huge shower and the most amazing bathtub. I relaxed in the bath, then dressed up. At around 8 PM, I was having a drink alone in the hotel bar, which is also stunning by the way. The mirrors and the dim light helped induce into a calm, comfortable inebriation. Besides me, there were just two couples at the bar. I was betting Gregor would come, since I knew his assessors wouldn't let him go out, and that he would hit on me. I don't consider myself to be particularly beautiful, but I'm in perfect shape and I'm young, so that's usually enough. At around 10 PM, Gregor invited himself to my side and bought me a drink without even flirting. He was disgraceful, a grizzled, balding man with a protruding belly and limbs that were too short. I felt glad that I was the one to make him cross the rainbow bridge to hell. When he spoke, his voice was ugly, full of nicotine and self-entitlement. "Hey beauty, do you like cocaine?" He pushed a glass of wine in my direction, going straight to the point. I laughed internally to the assumption that I'm a fragile woman that needs to drink classily so she doesn't get too drunk. "Sure," I answered, taking a sip. I'm a whiskey person, but this was delicious, very high quality. "Why don't we go have some in my room?" he asked, putting his disgusting tiny hand in my leg. "Then we can check out the fables this hotel tries to pull to be crazy." I smiled apologetically and placed his hand on the bar counter. "I have to take care of some business first. Why don't I meet you there after midnight?" Obviously, I had no business to take care of other than kill him, but an idea started to form. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad that Hotel Rushmore was a self-proclaimed haunted place. "Oh, a powerful woman, businesswoman. I like it," he said. "My room is 606. "No, like, what's your actual room?" I asked. "I've read the hotel rules. I'm really going." "It's true, beauty. I made a special request. I'll dismiss my crew and be jerking off while I wait for you." Disgusting, but I guess I was getting close. To fully understand this story, you have to know the hotel's rules. They leave it printed in a fancy paper in every room, and I still keep mine. Here are the rules for the hotel. Welcome to Hotel Rushmore. We are proud to be one of the few hotels in the world with a rating above 5 stars, and also a haunted place. Truly one of a kind. The thrills of being here will really be something else, and you don't have to worry. As long as you follow the rules, nothing can touch you. Number 1. The entrance hall will be closed every day between 3:33 AM and 4:44 AM, and no one is to enter or go out. No exceptions. If you went out and didn't make it back in time, please stay somewhere else during these hours. We'll refund you properly. Number 2. Every night the staff will place salt in front of every room, creating a semicircle. This is for your protection, and you should pay it no mind, for it will be cleaned in the morning when you get up. Number 3. All of our employees have eyes. If you see an eyeless woman in a maid uniform, please refrain from talking to her. She can't steal your body parts if you pretend not to acknowledge her existence. Number 4. If you wake up in the middle of the night feeling observed, ignore it and go back to sleep. Only get up to the bathroom or do anything else when the presence is gone. Number 5. If, however, you wake up in the middle of the night to a single giant yellow eye watching you, don't worry, he's friendly, but has no sense of boundaries. Just turn on the lights and he will understand that you don't want company and go away. Number 6. Never be in the bathtub at 1:11 a.m. Ideally leave 10 minutes before this time and re-enter 10 minutes after. Number 7. We do not have writings on the walls. If you see a message, don't read it. Ignore it and walk quickly to your room. You will hear whisperings, but do not turn your head. We won't be able to even retrieve your body if you fail to do so. Number 8. The room 606 and all rooms ending in 13 aren't available. Number 9. Always check out the number of your room on the door before opening it. If the number has changed, do not enter and contact staff. Number 10. We do not have a basement. If an employee invites you to see the basement, you must refuse and walk away from them. If you have salt in your person, throw it at their face and run without looking above your shoulder. Number 11. All our employees have 10 fingers. If you're approached by a member of the staff missing one or more fingers, ignore them. They're very charismatic and it will be hard to do so. They can appear more than once to the same person, wearing different faces, but always with less than 10 fingers. Do not invite them to your room under any circumstances, nor accept that they enter real quickly to check something out. Number 12. All of our windows are only decorative and can't be opened. If you feel the urge to get fresh air, please refrain from trying to break the window. If the curtains whisper, you should suicide. Please type 2 in your room phone and staff will come immediately. Number 13. If you fail to follow any of the rules above, say a prayer. It will distract you from the pain. At first, I thought it was a bit dramatic, just to make the guests excited. But I didn't want to dismiss it completely because my experience with the hitchhiker had been just a few months prior. It wouldn't hurt to abide by the rules, right? But Gregor wanted to break them, so I could help him do it. I spent a few hours doing nothing in particular, changed to a more provocative dress, and went to room 606 at 12:36 a.m. Mine was 7:04, so I took the stairs to avoid being seen. Just approaching room 606 made me a little dizzy. The place had a threatening aura, similar to the one I felt in the woods during my meeting with the hitchhiker. He probably had to bribe someone real good to get that doomed place. He opened the door with a groggy smile.
Come on in, beauty. I thought you were never showing up.
Well, you know how work is, I muttered, entering the room. All the lights were on, but it was darker than it should be. And around every visible lamp, there was a black and greyish halo. So, how did you end up with the haunted room?
Oh, I had to pay real good. And there's no fucking room service. The cunts are too scared to bring anything here.
Did you see something weird? I asked, with almost genuine interest.
Of course not. The thing is a stupid game to entertain the guests. I knew they created this hype just to bold people like me to pay more to see what happens. And guess what? Nothing happens.
Well, the light is weird and darker, I said.
This is bullshit. Let's shoot some.
It may sound weird, but I'm an expert at pretending I did cocaine. This wasn't my first or last politician, and they all loved it. Why don't we check out the bathtub rule? I asked, faking excitement.
Great idea, beauty. Ladies first.
No way. Show me that you're brave and we can do whatever you want, I said flirtatiously. He was convinced. He entered the bathtub at precisely 1:10 a.m. We expectantly waited for 1 minute. Mind you, the bathtub was the regular type, not the whirlpool ones, but the water started moving in a weird, frantic way.
Ooh, I said. Ha ha ha, this is great. Beware of the hot tub.
A woman with green, translucent skin appeared above his chest. His relaxed demeanor immediately turned to fear and pain. Despite her perfectly shaped body, her rat-color hair was ugly and decaying, and she didn't have one of the eyes. The other one was milky and seemingly blind. She had dry algae under her long, rotten nails. She wore a torn-up dress, apparently made from dead fish skin. The stink was really something else. The woman ignored me and dug her long nails in his chest. He screamed for help, but I just watched, not only because I wanted him to die, but also because I feared for my own safety and wanted the ghoulish thing to keep oblivious to my presence. As he bled, a dark green liquid oozed from her fingertips and entered his body. His limbs, head, and torso started to dehydrate and crumble. From the pipes, another woman came. She looked very much like the other, but her skin had more of a bluish tone. When she touched Gregor, his body was slowly sucked to the bathtub drain. He was conscious and screaming the whole time. I heard him say a prayer, and I would laugh if I wasn't completely terrified. I couldn't bring myself to move, so I couldn't take a picture of the job done or leave. I waited in silence until 2:22 a.m. That's when the last bit of his body, his leaked left eyeball, disappeared. The blue woman returned to the pipes, and the green woman dissipated in the reverse way that she had showed up. It was over. I went to my room, packed my stuff in less than 5 minutes, and left the hotel. I was refunded and did not accept the payment from my client for the kill that I didn't make.
My little brother is kinda cute, but he has to go. Cuddles McBunny told me so. What would you do if you were a grieving mother and found disturbing entries in your now only children's diary? This is the story of a double murder. Sandra Benson had always been a lucky woman, born in a middle-class family, homecoming queen, beautiful, well-educated, raised by loving parents. After finishing college, she married her high school sweetheart, a smart man that soon made his small business prosper. She was the embodiment of privilege and the perfect white picket fence life. Until her 2-month-old son unexpectedly died. Sandra was one of my first clients. I was still devastated by the premature death of my husband Tom, so I felt a bit emotional about her issue. That is probably why I killed a 10-year-old girl and her pet bunny. My daughter Marcella and her father are visiting his family. I went to grab something in her room and found her diary. Sandra wrote to me. She's 10. I thought it would be cute to read about her life, friends, maybe crushes. I just wanted to be let in, to know my daughter's little world. But what I found was this. I'll transcribe now the most unsettling entries from little Marcella's diary. July 5th, 2013. My mother's belly is so big. Dad says I'll be a big sister, so I have to be responsible. They are spending a lot of time with me, saying that I'll have to be a good girl and share the attention with my little brother. I don't know how I feel about it. Cuddles McBunny tells me that when he had a little brother, he was kicked out. Will I be kicked out? I'm glad Cuddles has me. We got him a few weeks ago, and I love him. July 14th, 2013. My parents don't believe me when I say Cuddles talks to me. I even heard them talking about me when they thought I wasn't listening. Dad said I'm too old for imaginary friends. Mom says it's good that I have one. So, I'm not alone when the baby comes. So it's true. Cuddles would never lie to me. I hate them, and I hate this stupid baby already. July 30th, 2013. The stupid baby is home. It's so tiny and stupid. Cuddles told me anything can break his fragile bones. My parents are holding him all the time. They don't even remember I exist. I wish I could break his tiny bones. Grandma came to help. She's my mom's mother. My other grandma is okay, but she lives far. I hate this grandma though. Her breath stinks. Her food is awful. And she tried to give me a bath like I can't do it alone. I'm 10, you old witch. I just want my parents back. August 3rd, 2013. Everything is only getting worse. A lot of stupid people come here to see the baby. My parents named him Benjamin. Ridiculous. It's a name for old Ben. My Aunt Celia used to bring me gifts and candy, but now she only has eyes for the baby. She's staying for a few days too, and it's like she can't even remember that I'm here. August 12, 2013. Cuddles keeps telling me that I'll be kicked out if I don't do something. I'm sad. I don't know how to make them love me again. The house is so full and nobody cares about me. My routine is so messed up. Mom even forgot to pack my lunch today. I hate her. August 25th, 2013. I'm so sick of this. I was punished because Cuddles bit my grandma's face. I complained to him about my grandma and he stood up for me. Cuddles is my only friend in the whole world and the only one that cares about me. Grandma always makes awful food and never wants to listen to my stories. She only cares about soap operas on TV and stupid Benjamin. Now she's screaming that my bunny will give her some disease or something. I hate her, I hate her, I hate her. September 6th, 2013. My little brother is kinda cute, but he has to go. Cuddles McBunny told me so. He's been teaching me how to defend myself from mean people, and the baby is mean. Cuddles knows everything. He says my life will be good again, and my parents will love me again, and soon forget about stupid Benjamin. Besides, I'll be helping them. They're always complaining about money and how having a baby is expensive. September 19th, 2013. Something funny happened today. Cuddles, my best friend, made Grandma fall from the stairs. I laughed as I watched her rolling down the stairs. She'll be at the hospital now. Finally, she's leaving. My mother will cook for me again. Today, we even get to eat pizza. My life will only get better from now on. I love you, Cuddles. You're making everything good again. September 22nd, 2013. I sent the baby away today. Cuddles taught me how to. It was very simple. I just had to put a pillow over his face. Cuddles says that my parents will be mad at first, but soon they will forget about the baby was even here and love me more. The baby will be somewhere else, where he won't disturb anybody. I'm glad for him too. I promised Cuddles that I won't tell anybody else, no matter how happy my parents get after they forget about Benjamin. Will I forget about him too? Please, Sandra typed. I just found out I'm pregnant again. Our family went through so much. I can't have the humiliation of having my 10-year-old daughter institutionalized. I don't want my husband to know what she's done. I just want to give our family a fresh start. Even though I didn't hear her voice once, I could capture the desperation of a mother with a heavy heart. So I accepted the job. I killed Sandra's 10-year-old daughter Marcella and her pet, Cuddles McBunny. To this day, they were never found. I opted to make it seem like a kidnapping. Sandra and her husband seem to eventually have moved on. They've had 2 kids since, and until now, both apparently turned out well. They're just deadly scared of rabbits. I don't keep in touch with my clients, but sometimes I stalk them on social media to find out how it turned out for them. Hey, I'm human too. I'm curious. Everything went out fine, but I sometimes still see a shadow of a giant bunny in the corner of my eye, whispering words of wickedness in my ear. I had to bury my client alive. I was in business for around 3 years and things were good. I was finally getting over losing Tom, and despite being sad for his store bankrupting in mere 2 months without him, I had more than enough money to afford all my needs. I was never one to have friends and I kept to myself. Only my neighbors knew where I lived because it couldn't be helped. I talked to my twin sister Dana every week, but she was living in another state. I didn't give her my home address because it was unnecessary. Having screwed up only once, my reputation as a hitman, or hitwoman, was already solid, and my fees were higher than they were when I started. I was turning down a lot of cases too. I just accepted things that weren't a moral hell no to me, and only worked in days in which my bloodlust was particularly high. But I entertained a few people that I would surely decline to work for. Being home alone pretty much every day is dull after some time, so I replied when I got her message.
What's your fee? I'm the Antichrist, and I want you to murder me.
Well, I know Lucifer is rich as fuck, so I'll charge you X, I replied, X being 9 times my usual fee.
It works for me. Shall we meet?
I laughed. Sure, why don't you come to my house right now so we can have tea? And I swear to God, there was a knock at my door. I had the heebie-jeebies at the coincidence. I lived in a calm, nearly rural neighborhood. It wasn't impossible that a door-to-door salesperson would come to this place, but it was highly unusual. I looked through the magic eye and saw a young girl. She had a pink hoodie covering most of her face and a seemingly heavy Kipling school bag hanging on her right shoulder. Probably some teenager from the local school, I thought, but my heart refused to stop racing. Maybe they were selling something to make their prom party or something.
Hey Dora, it's me, Ex-Belial Morningstar from the forum. Please open the door. I know you're looking through the magic eye, she said cheerfully.
I didn't know what to do, so I took a baseball bat and opened the door. I let her in and hit her over the head with the heavy object. The plan that instantly took form in my mind was to render her unconscious, tie her to her chair, and ask how the fuck she knew my address. Just after being hit, she turned to me, unfazed.
First of all, that's rude. Despite being a target, I'm also a client. Have some respect. Secondly, I didn't even pay you yet. Trigger happy much?
She took off the hoodie, and I noticed that she was around 19. Her face was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Her skin was flawless, and she clearly wasn't wearing any makeup to be like that. Her eyes were bright green, and her silky long hair was dark and shiny like the feathers of a crow. The smile never leaving her lips once, she gently put her bag on a chair. I'm sorry, I murmured. She was cute, delicate even, and spoke in a soft and singing song manner, but her presence was immense.
That's okay, Dora.
She sat comfortably in the couch, Indian style. Her movements were casual but elegant, and she spoke too calmly and deliberately.
You can call me Morningstar. I'm the Antichrist. Forget all the bullshit the religions try to make you buy. It simply means I have the same powers as your boy JC did. But they are destined to be used for evil purposes. You know, the humanity's demise and stuff.
I have so many questions right now, I said, noticing that I was murmuring again. She was so overwhelming that I didn't even dare to raise my voice. I know, and I choose you because I know you wouldn't be bothering to ask too many questions despite your curiosity. You like to leave some things to the imagination, and it would be too hard for me to explain. Besides, a female hitman? It kinda rocks. She reached for the backpack and opened it, showing me a shitload of money. It's yours, but it won't be that easy. I never thought that I would believe in such things as the Antichrist. As I said before, I'm a hardcore agnostic, but goddamn, that girl convinced me that she had some sort of otherworldly powers. She showed up at my house out of nowhere, a single moment after contacting me through a shady website. She was hit in the head by me and her reaction was looking bored. Just shortly after explaining why she chose me to kill her, Morningstar seemed to materialize an ancient-looking knife out of nowhere and tried to stab herself. Her hands moved away, preventing her from harming her own body with a fierceness and speed that her petite figure couldn't normally possess. See? I can't directly hurt my own body. Why don't you try? She passed me the knife. I stared at it for a long moment. Is this? Still smiling, she asked, "Do you like it? It's a rondelle knife. I'll tell you this much. After I realized I had powers that others didn't have, stuff like that just kept showing up in my room. Relics. Did you know the Catholic Church still has executors? Well, they got me on their radar for that, and I kinda made them cry when they came over." Wow. This truly looks old, I said in bewilderment. "Come on, stab me." She smiled wider. Her whole demeanor held no malice. She seemed to be genuinely having fun. "This is very sharp. Try to tear apart my throat." I obeyed. I made a big cut on the left side of her throat, and her head even hung a little to the right for a second. But the wound closed immediately. In 3 seconds, it was like nothing had happened. Now, she had a triumphant look on her eyes, like a kid outsmarting her older sister when solving a math problem. "You know," she shifted in the couch, "JC was buried in a cave, sealed by a rock. We're gonna have to do something stronger than this." We left in my car. She knew a proper place where I could bury her, and it was a 3-hour drive. "Can I pick the music?" she asked, excited like this was an ordinary road trip. "Sure," I said, and she put on Roundabout by Yes. It wasn't hard to find the place or make the first preparations. Buying the stuff that I needed and driving there was uneventful. And it seemed like we both just wanted to enjoy the peace and quiet of a country road, extending forever the same under the setting sun. The place that she chose was small and ordinary woodland. The important thing was that no living soul was going to disturb us there. I started digging. "Can I ask you one thing?" I required. "I know you will." She smiled wider again. "Morningstar, there is no malice in you. Overall, you're just a regular girl to me. Why do you think you need to be killed?" Her face unchanged, she sat over the pile of cement bags. "Because I'm afraid of what my followers will do in my name. And no matter how quietly I live my life, they will find me and they will misunderstand me, purposely or not," she sighed. "What do you think JC was doing until he was over 30? He wasn't trying to be normal. Maybe he didn't want the burden to save you guys and crap. I don't want the burden to doom you all." "I get it," I said respectfully. "I know you do. I doubt JC would give himself in sacrifice if he knew what people would do allegedly in his name." She sighed. It was getting dark. "Here, I'll light a campfire for you." I was no stranger to digging deep graves. My arms were strong and fast, always had been. And before I knew it, I was done with this part. I kinda wanted to postpone the moment that I would bury Morningstar alive. She was beautiful and nice, and I was used to a much quicker and cleaner death. She jumped inside the void on the earth, always smiling. No matter how I struggle or beg, you cannot unbury me, okay? I choose you because you're tough too. I covered the hole with a shitload of cement and waited. I lost track of time. After the cement dried, I just stayed there all the time. She talked to me a lot. She hysterically screamed for hours, begging me to take her from there. It was a muffled sound, but I'll never know how she was able to do it. I would say, "I'm sorry, I can't," and she would reply, "Good, Dora," very quietly. Then she will tell me a little about her life, but only the parts about being a regular young woman. I told her about my creepiest cases and my biggest screw-ups. She laughed from time to time. "You know, I didn't need to ask you what your fee was, right?" Her voice was growing weaker each time she talked. "Whenever someone catches my eye, I kinda have a file of them. I just wanted to see your reaction." "Was it good?" I asked. She made a long pause. "I think I paid you properly. I'm sure it's being way harder than usual. To kill me, I mean. I'm even a bit afraid that I won't die." "I'm really sorry, Morningstar." "I know, it's fine. Just sucks that my body's so hard to destroy." She giggled lightly. "It would be so fast if I was normal. But then again, if I was normal, I wouldn't need to be here." Morningstar died after slowly suffocating for weeks. I had no idea this much time had passed until I went back to the outside world. I could hear her until I could not. I lied above her grave and didn't leave until she stopped talking, half to make sure the job was done, half to be there for her through her suffering. And how she suffered, her powerful lungs fighting against the crushing weight of the cement, her mouth filled with concrete, but still talking, her body weakening from the starvation and extreme thirst. She chose to sacrifice for you all, us all, in her own way. She didn't want to doom you. You're welcome, humanity.